Good afternoon, everyone. We're coming to you live. Well, I would say from Volleyball, Manitoba, but I'm not there. I'm Michelle Sawatzky, and I love watching people join as we go, and so great to be able to invite Darian Koskie to Paving the Way. Now, this beginning part, when we wait, I'm just going to be honest, it's always awkward. So we're waiting for Darian to be able to join, and so I'm hoping he will, and I'm hoping it works, and I'm just going to wait for that. We're super excited to be celebrating another Manitoban, which was the whole point behind this Paving the Way thing, and so I'm going to wait to make sure I can invite him in and get him to join me on our chat. So thank you to those of you who are joining along the way. I think we're going to hear a pretty cool story. So hang tight. And when we're ready to go, we'll do that. Really cool to see a lot of familiar names joining the party here. So neat. Some great supporters. I haven't actually, in all my time in the volleyball world, have had a chance to sit down with Darian Koskie and have the conversation. So hopefully I see that I can invite him in. So maybe, Adam, if you're listening, you can help me out with that. And there he is. Hi, Darian.
Hey, Michelle, how's it going?
Very good. Welcome here. I've seen a lot of your family members, but a whole bunch of other Volleyball Manitoba people joining in to listen in. So nice to have you on Paving the Way. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Darian, you and I have crossed paths many times in the gym. You know, I've had a kid play with you, and I've loved watching. Had to be on the bench coaching against you just a few times. Always been impressed with your game, so I'm super excited to find out more about you. And I think a lot of other people are too. So, and I think when you play, man, you speak with your game. You speak with your game, that's for sure. So let's talk about Gatineau. Let's just get right to it. Let's talk about Gatineau. I think one of the main reasons we want to do this is to, let other Manitobans know that a lot of stuff is possible. And you're training out in Gatineau. Maybe tell us how did you get there? We talked with Michael Clegg last week or a couple weeks ago, and I guess you went a little bit later than he did. So what was the process for you to be in Gatineau now?
Yeah, well, so it was after the first training block had been completed. So they finished, I think, mid-December. They were home by Christmas. And then I guess they were looking down Lewis, and Volleyball Canada was exploring just having some other options for different guys to come out.
Mm-hmm.
A couple guys had left the first group, and they were looking to expand and add a couple more people. So they looked at like having some junior guys or junior age guys, so U21 players come out. And so they selected, I think there's 6 or 7 of us that were invited to have the opportunity to train. And then, yeah, so from there, I got invited, and then I obviously accepted. It's a great opportunity. It's really nice to be able to train out here, especially with the unfortunate circumstances back home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really great experience so far.
Yeah, no kidding. What was that like getting that call? Say, hey, you want to come play some volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, it was an email. It was super exciting though.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just whatever, middle of lockdown, can't train at the U of M. Had to just doing home workouts and stuff. So, you got to do what you got to do. But it was obviously like being able to have that opportunity was super exciting. I was really excited. So then I started kind of giving me extra motivation in my daily like the daily training that I was doing, whatever, working out in the basement. It kind of gave me a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the same boat. They're going, yeah, yeah, I've you know got some extra weights in the basement thing. Now gyms have opened up a little bit right now, so we're excited about that here in Manitoba. So, what's it like for you there? What's it like? What's training been like for you? And before we get to your story, what are you liking about what are you loving about getting to the next level there in training? What are you noticing?
Well, there's tons of really skilled players here, so it's there's no shortage of competition and guys willing to push you to be your best. So it's super nice every day coming to the gym. You can't really have an off day. Like you got to be always pushing the pace, always playing to the best of your abilities. And like if not, the guys here they're good. Like they'll hold you accountable. Like obviously they're not gonna be rude about it or anything, but they're making sure that everybody's coming in to train their hardest every day and take advantage of the opportunity to the fullest.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you that is a big difference jumping to the next level. I remember that. Like never a break. Like there's no one you're going to be paired up with that's going to be like, okay, I got this, right? So you're always pushing that. Now in the group that you're training with, are you one of the younger guys in there? Because,
Yeah, so there's like I was saying, there's about I think 7 or 8 other guys. There's a couple guys my age that were here from the first block.
right.
But mostly it's kind of so there's like older guys who are done playing volleyball, like Mike. So guys that finished their 5th year last year,
Mhm.
and there's a couple guys in the middle, like Finn McCarthy and Braden Fries, and guys those age that are like more of I guess they're 1 or 2 years older than me, and then a bunch of guys my age, and then there's one guy that's younger than me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's even a cool challenge, right? I mean, it's reminiscent of university volleyball, right? I mean, you're going to
Mhm.
be going up against these 5th year players, but I mean, you're playing against some guys. You walk in the gym, you kind of go, oh, couple of, I mean, not that you're not a young man, but there are a couple of real men in there, right? It's a whole nother level. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Most challenging part about being where you are right now.
Um, Most challenging part right now for me is probably staying on top of school and stuff, honestly, because like the training schedule is pretty intense, and like at the end of the day, I come home, I gotta cook. I'm like, man, I don't want to do school, so it's I gotta fit it in the days or get it in on the weekends and such. So that's always a bit of a struggle. And then as far as in the gym, it's kind of just I don't know. I wouldn't really say it's a tough area or a struggle. It's just kind of it's a challenge, right? Like to be able to push yourself to play at that level all the time. So it's kind of a welcome challenge that I take.
Here's something that comes to mind when you go into a program like that. Couple of Manitobans only. So, are there guys that? I mean, and I suppose you've played against a lot of the guys that are there. But is there anyone there that you've connected with that you didn't know before, or someone that you've sort of gone like, oh, I've watched you play, but I've never been able to be on the same side of the net? Have there been any sort of situations like that where you've sort of come across some guys and gotten to know them better in your time there already?
Yeah, well, I'm sharing a house here with 5 other guys.
Hmm.
So a couple guys from out east and then from out west too. So it's nice to get to know them. And then one super cool experience is that Daniel Jansen Van Doorn is here. So he was on the Olympic roster and he's recovering from his back surgery that he had earlier this year. So he's got a ton of wisdom and experience. And if there's ever a question I need answered or if I need to watch something to pick up on a cue, like how should I do my block footwork? How should I read on the blocks? There's always a good sure answer right in front of me that I can either ask him a question or just observe his playing style. And he's got some stories too from the Rio games that he tells us. So that's been a super cool experience for me getting to know and play alongside him.
Yeah, unreal experience. So neat. Is there already a lesson that you've learned from now taking this step and training at the next level that you'd pass on to, young players that have national team dreams?
Um, well, I would say just always, honestly, probably just always work hard. You never really know who's watching or who's talking. Like, the coaches are always the community is very interconnected, and the coaches in Can West or OUA, wherever you end up going or aspiring to go, they'll always talk to each other, right? Because to get here, I hadn't played in since last March, so it's not really based off your recent play. It's based off your play the year before and the hours you put in practice when no one was really watching, and then how even if you don't think you're making a big impact or whatever, there's always going to be people watching, taking notes, and then those kind of get passed around, and then eventually you might end up having an opportunity like I did here.
Awesome. Okay, well let's lead up to this opportunity. I mean, the Koskie name is sort of synonymous with volleyball, but we're not talking about all the Koskies. We're talking about Darian today. So Darian, what's your story? When did you start playing volleyball, and lead us through your story?
Well, I've kind of always not really organized volleyball, but I've always been playing, just had volleyball around with my dad. So I probably started playing, earliest was probably grade 7, I guess. I played on a team called the Rink Rats that was coached by Rob Olfert. So I was with a couple other, some hockey guys, and with like Isaiah and Ben Shaw and some of those guys. Um, and I guess from there, I kind of, at my elementary school too, my dad coached my volleyball team. So it would have started probably like my organized volleyball probably started around grade 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And were you right away? Like, did you love it? Like, did you love it right away? Do you think it was, because you were surrounded by it, or was it like an easy choice? Yeah, I'm playing volleyball.
I don't know. It was a little bit of a struggle at first. It's more of like it's full of acquired skills
Hmm.
and coordination. And I wasn't super coordinated when I was younger. So it was a little difficult at first, but then eventually I kind of started to focus on it more around grade 8, grade 9, and then it was kind of it was just like an acquired now. Like obviously I love playing volleyball now, but it wasn't my favorite sport or favorite thing to do when I was just starting out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so then lead us through junior high, and well, I guess you went to St. Paul's. We
Yep.
saw you play there, and talk about your school playing experience.
Um, St. Paul's was a ton of fun. We played so I had Evan Alexander as my coach
Oh
in
yeah.
grade 9 and grade 10. And then Lloyd Voth for grade 11 and 12, and then Evan helped out with the team there. So Evan's always coached me. He coached me through club too. So yeah, he's been a guy that's really helped me with my volleyball career too. But for school, yeah, I was never really. I don't think we ever really achieved as high or as well as we should have. We always fell a little short in the end. But at the end of the day, it's not. It wasn't always about that. It was playing with my friends at school and just having a great time. Getting to play volleyball with them every day, see them in the gym. Make some friendships that I'll have for life there. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk a little bit about that, though. I think some people, they wonder. You talk to certain people, and I won this and I won this, and those are the highlights. But absolutely, a highlight for you must have been playing for such a quality program in high school. I mean, it's not that common. Lloyd Vought's been there forever, and he's sort of a guru in volleyball. We all have mad respect for the guy, and you got to play for him, and also the consistency of Evan coaching you all the way through. Talk a little bit
Mhm.
about that experience playing at such a high level, even in high school.
Well, yeah, it was like it's obviously a privilege, right? Like not all high schools are able to have a volleyball program and such a knowledgeable coach to
Mhm.
help them along the way. So that's an essential. It's not like where, club you can have a really good coach and then for high school, like, obviously the coach is still like they're doing their best, but they don't have as much knowledge as someone say that Lloyd would have. So it was definitely like it was a super cool opportunity, something that, when you look back, you're kind of like, I guess it was kind of lucky, to be able to have good coaching all year round and to allow me to keep forming as a player, like
Yeah,
throughout the whole year,
for sure.
at a good pace rather than just like, for part of the year.
Yeah, yeah. You never really sort of took a break from getting input, right? And
Hmm.
getting fed great things about this game.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get through high school, and obviously you're a little hungry, I think, because right, you're even in high school. Well, we didn't maybe do all that we wanted to do in the end. Had great friends, great support, and then you enter the recruiting game. I think a lot of young players have questions about it. Parents have questions about it. They ask about that. What was that like for you? And I do know that you checked out some different schools. You had some options. Lead us through that process for you leaving high school and then choosing a place to play.
Yeah, well, so the recruiting would have started, I guess, 17U Nationals for me, which would have been in Edmonton, I believe. Um, and so, playing there was it's kind of cool because, you could see all the coaches were around there watching, right? It was a good, like they were all looking was a great place for them. All the teams were in one area, so it was a great place for them to find like to scout for future recruiting classes. And so I had a couple of coaches approach me, and then I thought about it. Like it was a tough decision. I thought about it for a while, and then I guess it would have been October around the St. Vital Invitational Tournament for high school, my grade 12 year. I decided that I wanted to go to University of Manitoba, and then I talked to Garth, and then signed a letter of intent, and then just kind of went from there. So yeah, it was a super cool process for sure, and I'm grateful for all the coaches that expressed interest, and being able to go check out different schools, meet some of the players, meet the coaches, and yeah, it was a privilege. I don't know. Do you have any specific questions about it at all, or
I
just
do. I
okay?
do. What was the deciding factor to stay home? A lot of us are excited when athletes decide to stay home and, make Manitoba volleyball even better.
Yeah.
What was the deciding factor? What were some of the things that sort of tweaked you and said, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing, right? I mean, sometimes there's 5 good things here, 5 good things at another school, and yet there was one thing that stood out that made you say, no, I'm going to sign here.
Well, I was always a little hesitant to leave home. It was just part of like I would like to stay at home for university, and so like that was kind of like something I took into the decision making process for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was still pretty tough though, but then at the end I just figured like Manitoba, well, probably like my dad went there, right? He saw some good success there, so just continue that on. And yeah, I was at home, and just I'd have a good opportunity to get lots of playing time there.
Sure.
I saw, and then I ended up getting even more playing time than I thought I would in my first year. But yeah, so it was really just kind of a mix of wanting to stay at home, just kind of some history there, and just I thought that was the best place for me to be able to develop as an
Love it.
athlete. Yeah.
And when it's the best place for you and you feel really good about it, there's a lot of talk now in the sport world about, the whole human being important. It's not just about the wins and losses. And I think if you bring your whole self to the table, you're going to be able to have some great success. And are you excited now? New coach? I mean, Arndt Ludwig is there at U of M, and you're a young crew. How do you feel about that, moving forward? You've got to be excited about the new things that are possible and coming.
Yeah, like for sure in the next couple of years here, whenever hopefully sooner than later, we'll get back. I know maybe once the restrictions start to lift up a little bit, or hopefully by the time I get back, I'll be able to hop right back in the gym with guys back home, which will be great, lots of fun. So yeah, it's for sure it's full of like it's kind of wide open. There's lots of possibilities for the program in the future. We're a pretty balanced team right now. We've got a bunch of guys who will be in their 4th year now.
Right.
So then obviously, or this would have been their 4th year. It doesn't count for eligibility, but it would have been. So then in a couple of years, whatever, a big decision would be, do those guys want to continue on, or do they want to move on with their life, if they've completed their degree?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll kind of be a big deciding factor in the direction that the program takes too, to see if the older players, if they choose to stick around for their 6th year or 6th year, or some guys would be able to do extra years after that even. But yeah, so that'll be probably the biggest thing in the direction that the program takes.
Neat. Now, Darian, are you still, a question actually has come in, and it says, are you still playing middle now where you are? And how tall are you? And what are the challenges playing middle at this level?
Yeah, I'm still playing middle in Gatineau here. And so I'm about 6'6". That's my height. And then challenges playing middle is, well, like as the level gets higher, the game only gets faster. So you have to be able to adapt with read blocking. So that's something I've been working on, is my footwork speed.
Okay.
On the reads, right? Because like you can only read into the game so much. Like that's more of a mental skill that you learn through film and such. So it's not something I can work on in the gym as much.
Mm-hmm.
So in the gym right now, it's more working on having fast feet, taking like a big first step to close to the outsides, and then just making sure like when I'm blocking, that I'm like blocking with a purpose, like not just throwing hands up, making sure that I'm pressing, so then I can get because I'm already getting lots of touches. It's just some small things I need to change to to turn those touches into more blocks.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're 6'6", I think, is encouraging for some. I mean, in the real world, in the normal world where I live now, 6'6" is like super tall. But there are some mindset like, well, if you want to, if you want to play middle at the international level, you have to be 6'10". Okay. So that story hits many of us in many ways. Height's a big conversation in volleyball. What would you say to maybe someone else? Obviously, you're proving that you're part of this program. And how do you approach that? Does it ever cross your mind? Do you not worry about it? Does it pump you up and make you more motivated? What is 6'6" playing middle at a national team, training level? What does that mean to you?
Well, yeah, it's kind of benefited me with sticking with middle too, because in Canada, lots of the guys that are 6'6" that used to play middle have changed to outside
Yeah.
to see more success at a higher level. So it leaves a bit more open for me there. And then, but yeah, just obviously not being like one of the bigger guys, like some of the Russians have like guys that are almost 7 feet tall, right? So. Like a guy like me would have to work on lots of like technical skills and stuff too, like make sure I have a pretty technically sound game. So that's
Mhm.
another thing I've been working on, like making sure my high ball setting is getting better and my free ball passes are good, because like if I'm not able to as easily contribute to the blocking as like a 6'10", 6'11" guy would be, I'm gonna have to make sure that I can clean up my game in another aspect, which could be whatever, like serving or just ball control is really important too.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great. Yeah, and also if you're better technically, right, you'll maybe be, or you learn to read better. Then you're in
Mhm.
the right place more than someone else, and boom, then the height differential really can come together. I might speak from a little bit of experience there. What is Bison alumni Dan Lewis like as a coach? This is a great question. Thank you, Ryan, for asking that.
Yeah, he's pretty intense. He coaches a lot like he plays, right? So he played a very like very energy filled, enthusiastic game. So he brings that to his coaching style, making sure that he's like another guy, like how I was saying, the players push each other, right? Like you got to make sure you're kind of on your A game there. You can't really slack off, because he'll hold you accountable pretty fast. So yeah, but other than that, yeah, he's got a ton of insight. He played for a really long time there on the national team. So he's seen the game probably evolve uh, over however many years he played, and then even now as the like he was there as the intern assistant for Glenn, and then uh, as he's coaching this program too, he's got like tons of experience at the highest level of volleyball. So he's got lots of insight for everything, like especially on defense too. That's another area I'm working on. So he just helping me kind of just like restructure how my defense is, like everything from whatever foot position, arm position, how I'm digging the ball. So he's been a ton of help so far.
Yeah, isn't it cool as you go to the next level? You kind of think, well, I've been coached a lot by a lot of guys. I know a lot of stuff. And does it amaze you? I know it did me when I went to the next level. I was like, how do I have so much more to learn? Are you finding that every day you walk in the gym and you go, seriously?
Yeah, for sure. There's like all sorts of stuff. Like
Yeah.
like I thought my defense was getting better. Like just whatever over the last little year there with Bisons. And then I came here and Dan's like telling me I got to change this and that, and like just all these other things that I hadn't changed yet that now I'm adapting to change and grow more as a volleyball player. So
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And well, being Manitoban too, I'm excited for your teammates when you come back, right? I mean, every time someone goes beyond or does a little bit something different, you bring back that knowledge. And I mean, it just can spread to the guys you're playing with. I think that's really exciting. Talk about, oh, you know what? Talk about your dad. Talk about being the son of Scott Koskie. I'd like to know if there's more pressure on you because he's your dad, less pressure. How do you feel about that? I think, there are thoughts about that. And I'd like you to say, what's it like for you? Is it, yeah, obviously he's
Yeah.
a great guy. We know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of like the pressure, whatever, would be a little bit dissociated because he played center and I play middle.
Yeah.
So there's not like you can't really draw a direct comparison there at all. But even with like a difference in position or whatever, it's still like he's still able to obviously provide a ton of insight,
Mhm.
like because he's the guy that's setting the middles. So he can
That's
tell
true.
me, he can tell me what I need to change, or even just on other stuff too, right? Like similar to Dan there, he played pro and on the national team for a long time, so he's able to pick up on stuff and like he can help me with defense cues and anything like that too. So it's kind of, yeah, it's super nice. It's like having a coach at home if
Mhm.
I ever have any questions.
Yeah.
And then yeah, there's not like I wouldn't say there's any extra pressure really, or at least not that I experience. And there's not really a disconnect either there between the two positions. Like he's able to step in a pinch and tell me whatever I need to know about playing middle too. So it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I love that. Now, some people might go, really? Do you want your dad to coach you at home? What was the dynamic like maybe when you were, when you are at home? Well, I guess you are living at home even when you're playing university. What's the dynamic like? Does he sit back and sort of just wait for you to ask him questions? Does he have little tips for you as you go? And it seems like you don't mind. Some kids, let me tell you, I have kids that played volleyball. They didn't always appreciate, the input from mom or coach or whatever. Like, enough already. I might, what would you say to that?
Yeah, it's usually just little, like if I have a question, I'll ask him. But then sometimes if it's just something that he picks up on, it's like just little tips here or there. So it's nice. It's not like I don't find it annoying or anything at all by any means. So
Good for
yeah,
you.
yeah, it's helpful.
I'm not going to get any inside scoop on the. Well, that's awesome. Well, when we see Scott's approach, we kind of figure that. So, Darian, that's awesome, and kudos to you for taking that road and for understanding that he's got a lot to offer you, and that is an opportunity and an advantage for sure. And so I think that's awesome. So good for you. I think that's great. Okay, here's another question that came in earlier. Was there someone who pushed you the most in your volleyball career?
Um, hmm. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say there's someone who pushed me most. Like I've been really lucky and had a good support net of a bunch of really good coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and they've all pushed me to be like the best that I can. Like I'd say, like you're saying, through high school, it would have been Evan Alexander, and then Lloyd Boff, and then in club Rob Olford and Lindsay Habib, and then obviously my dad at home too, and then now the coaches here at the center, including Dan. So yeah, it's I wouldn't really say there's been one person, but it's I've had just like a bunch of really good coaches throughout my whole life that have always been there, and then part of coaching me well is pushing me to be my best.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all of them I'd say.
That's awesome. Okay, here's something that just came to mind. Often when we play volleyball for a long time, we play high school, we play club. We're often either against or playing with the similar guys, right? Similar teammates and guys that you play against in the Manitoba volleyball scene. Are there a couple guys you remember really pushing you as an opponent through club, or someone you liked playing against? I know some of those relationships start to
Hmm.
form, which is super cool. Or in practice, someone you've played with for a while that you would mention and say, yeah, he never let me go halfway in practice or whatever. Are there some teammates or opponents that you remember in your Manitoba volleyball career that pushed you along the way or that helped you?
Um, this is kind of another one where it's like all the teams that I've been on have been like we've all been really good friends, right?
Yeah.
So we're able to just have fun, but also push each other to be better at volleyball. It was kind of really special what we had there as the like I played on the same team with those guys all the way from I guess that would have been 16U to 18U for the
Yeah.
most part. So yeah, as far as teammates, I wouldn't really say anyone in particular. Just as a whole team, we had it was nice. Had a good thing going there, and then
Cool.
just opponents more or less. It was always we had a good rivalry against Winman kind of year after year. So that was I don't know. It wasn't so much of a friendly rivalry, but
That's
yeah, it
okay.
was. Yeah, but they always pushed us for the most. They always brought out the best in us for the most part. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I'd say
it's
yeah.
sometimes those moments that aren't always that's not just necessarily comfortable and we're all getting along. I mean, you want to beat the guys on the other side of the net. And as you have just said and recognized, that made you better. You only get better by having something like that. So, really you should give the thanks to the guys you maybe didn't like playing against the most, because you probably didn't like playing against them the most, right? Because they probably pushed you the most. So I think that's pretty cool. But great comments though on how the dynamic of your teams where, it wasn't sort of one connection for you, that you obviously are a real team player and all the guys that surround you, you've taken benefit from and you have enjoyed that. So I think that's pretty cool. Here's another question that came in. Which volleyball season did you have the most fun?
Hmm. Um, it's kind of tough actually. Probably I want to say we went on to the 18U year with Strike was pretty fun, and 17U was pretty fun too. It's hard to tell between the two of those because it was pretty sweet. We went on a little Toronto trip in 18U, and we like just rented like this really big house, and then we all stayed in it together. So that was pretty awesome. And then we played against a bunch of different Ontario teams there, so their level was quite a bit above Manitoba. Like we played against Storm and Pac-Man were the two big teams, and then Georgetown was there too. They ended up finishing second at nationals. Pac-Man ended up winning. I don't know where Storm finished, but they were also really good. So that was tons of fun. And then in 17U too, 17U was also a lot of fun. I think we ended up winning provincials that year too. So it was just those two. Like I've always had lots of fun playing volleyball, but those 2 years would have been the most fun for me.
Nice. We talked about Dan Lewis's style of coaching, and words like passionate, and the way he played. What would you say your style is, and are you happy with your style, or do you strive to sort of become more maybe, or do you strive to become different than you are? What's your style, would you say?
I'm definitely more of like a lead, I guess like a lead by example type of guy. Like I don't usually like I'm not that loud. Whatever, like cheering after points or whatever is a little bit different. But as far as like in the game, I usually try and just kind of stay focused and get the task at hand done. Leading, I guess lead by example would probably be the best way to describe it. And yeah, just kind of being a little bit louder on the court, something that I'd probably want to work on, just especially when you're like out of system, making sure you're always calling for balls and stuff, because it makes it easy for the setter to find you. Just small things like that, try to bring more energy onto the court too as I play. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that those are great goals. When do you get home? How long are you in Gatineau?
So I'm here. Our last day of training is the 26th of March.
Okay. Oh, so you've got a chunk of time to go yet.
Month and a bit. Yeah, we're just next week. End of next week is like the halfway point. Okay. Yeah.
Right on. Well, you've got a ways to go, and I know that you're fortunate, and you mentioned it already at the beginning how lucky you feel that you've been able to head out there and get to play, and that's super cool. Darian, what are your goals for the future? Where do you see yourself? I get it. None of us know. We don't know. But where do you hope you end up someday?
Well, I've got like in the more immediate future, I think this is like my last year for junior team eligibility. Like it was supposed to be last year too, but this year would be like my actual last year for that. So I'm hoping that something will come together and I'll be able to go and try out for the team back here in Gatineau. I guess in whenever it would be. There's no information about that yet because of COVID, but I'm hoping that I'll have an opportunity to at very least just try out for that team. And then other than that, just kind of go back to Bison's there and see what we can do in the next couple of years. And then after that, maybe look into playing pro for a couple of years overseas and then kind of see where that takes me from there.
Yeah. Awesome. Darian, give a shout out. I know. I said this to Michael too. In this day and age, you can FaceTime whenever you want, and so it's not. In my day, if we went to Gatineau to play, we'd maybe get a phone call with mom and dad, and then I don't know, write a letter or something. I shouldn't even say that. Do you want to give a shout out? There's a lot of people watching that know you and love you and care about what you're doing. Give them a Saturday afternoon shout out.
All right. Well, to everybody back home, all my friends and family, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting me. Mom, dad, all my extended family. Thanks for always being there for me, cheering me on, and pushing me to be the best that I can.
Awesome. Darian Koskie, one of our Manitobans who's paving the way. Darian, just you being there, your presence there, gives young Manitobans hope. And you know what? Not just hope, but motivation. Because hope alone's not gonna get you far, but motivation to put in a little bit extra. And I loved your comment about working hard because you never know when coaches are watching or what they're talking about, and they might just be talking about you. So I think that's really great advice for our young Manitobans. Thank you for paving the way. Thanks for working as hard as you are out there. We love watching you. We've been proud of you for a long time, and we're just thankful that you could join us today on this episode of Paving the Way. So good luck in your next training, and I hope it goes really well. Stay healthy and safe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're cheering you on. See you
All
later.
right. See ya.
Bye.